everybody. Welcome to the first installment of what I hope to be about 10 videos or so, maybe a couple more. Let me adjust this camera just a little bit here. There we go. It's a little bit more centered. On basically, I want to write or have a few small videos on actual writing. How do I go through my writing process? I get questions about it all the time, so I figured it might be more fun to do a couple videos. And the first suggested session is special thanks to my friend Janelle, who not only do I know through the newsletter, but I also happen to know her in real life. So Janelle, this one's for you. We talk about main characters, and main characters can be really anything. They can be humans, they can be space aliens, they can be robots, even toasters. If you think of the old cartoon, The Brave Little Toaster, you think that, really almost anything can be a main character in a story. But the big question that I get is, where do they come from? Now, Stephen King, I think, said famously that his ideas come from a used idea store in Utica. I like to say that most of my characters come from inside of me. Every single character that I think I've ever written, I can look back and see a small part of myself in there, deep within that person's psyche or that person's actions. Now, if you couple that idea with the fact that you see people throughout your daily life that you want to turn into characters, and you actually end up writing caricatures of those people. A good example of that for me was a short story that I wrote where there were three girls that were stuck in an alternate reality. They were caricatures of three girls I saw crossing the road on the way to use the swimming pool while I was going to work one morning. Based on pure observation, I saw them and my mind started going, thinking about what their day was going to be like. What could happen to them potentially in the grand scheme of things, and how could I sort of roll that into a great story. There's really no, I guess, magic involved in creating characters. You don't, there's not some special sauce, some special drink you can drink to help you make characters what they are. You just base it purely on your observation and imagination. I could write a chef. I could write a character who's a chef. I'm not a chef. I've never been a chef. However, I've cooked. I've cooked for a lot of people before. I've been in the kitchen. I've used a knife. I've used an oven. So with a little bit more research, I can understand what it's like to be a chef and build that into the character that I'm putting together. I have to do a lot of research when it comes to characters, especially when I'm writing a serial killer, because obviously I haven't gone out and killed a bunch of people, so I have to research on what the current psychological thinking is on serial killing. Why do they do it? How do they do it? What goes through their minds? I listen to videos of actual serial killers, confessions and their sentencing and things like that, so I can get a better idea on how to write that character in a more believable fashion. When I wrote the character of Rigby in The Dramatic Dead, one of the things I had to look at was what would a veterinarian have inside of a surgical suite? Because I've never been a veterinarian, I have no idea. So, it's true that we say that you have to write truthfully. You have to write to something that you know. Obviously, I don't know how to be a veterinarian, but I don't have to. I really only had to research the portions of that lifestyle that impact the story. It was really more a vehicle to carry that character through rather than having a larger part in the story. So that's some of the way you end up fleshing out your characters and making them more interesting, is through a lot of research, and diligent research at that. I would say that when you are developing characters' personality or your own personal experiences are important. You need to think back to a time that you did something. A good example is if you're writing a captain of a boat. I have captained a boat before. To say I steered it. I have, I've been on small boats. I can imagine what the waves feel like just by thinking about it. I can imagine the smells and the sights as you're going down a river or going across a lake or an ocean or whatever. That all plays into how that character is going to view the world and what they're going to think about. It's their frame of reference that helps to inform how that character is going to react to certain situations. Another technique that authors use, and I use it myself, is character sheets. And I have to confess that I actually stole my character sheets from another author who talked about them in a video. And but what those sheets are is it is a listing of what the characters think, feel, act, their physical traits, their personality traits. What motivates them? What makes them who they are? What are they like? Are they hetero? Are they homosexual? Are they interested in, it can be anything from religious preferences all the way down to a character's love of making matchbook ships. I don't know. It can really be anything, and it should be anything. Not everything you put on the character sheet is actually going to make it into the book itself. However, you can make it as complex as you want to. Mine are fairly complex, I think, for most authors, but I tend to get into some detail just because I want to know what makes them think about, or how they're going to think about certain situations that they come across. One of my young friends came up to me with a really good idea. She actually uses it's one of the tabletop game character development sheets. It's one of those that you roll the dice and it tells you what their physical strength properties are and that kind of thing. But the nice part about those sheets is you've got blanks that you can actually fill in things. So those are pretty great to use if you don't want to write one up yourself. So aspiring authors, I think, when you are trying to come up with how to better generate your characters, one thing you can do is take yourself out to a park or the beach or the mall or wherever. Sit down and just observe people for a while. See what they're like. The best authors are students of humanity. So keep an eye on them and maybe write a small story based on one particular character that you're singling out. It will help you to develop a better sense of how to structure a personality, at least on paper. It'll help you move forward. But most of all, make sure when you're working on characters, I know I try to do this, don't make them too perfect. Nobody's perfect. Everybody has a flaw. So build it in there. Human beings are not robots, and they can be prone to all kinds of different issues. So, they may be an alcoholic misanthrope. They may be a person who is hiding their sexual identity for some reason or another. You may write a character who's a pastor and is very nervous about failing anyone for some reason. For those of you who read The Dramatic Dead, that's Keith, by the way. So, yes, you can develop your characters any way you want. There's just a few hints. If you, for whatever reason, would like to see what one of my character sheets looks like, drop me an email at brianthewriter@briannowak.com. I will send you one, and you can see how I do what I do. And feel free to rip it off from me, because I ripped it off from someone else. Authors are good that way. We like to share with each other. So anyway, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I will make one of these videos hopefully in another week or so, and covering another topic. I am also going to put out a request in my newsletter to have you guys send me your ideas. Tell me what you would like to see, what questions you would like me to answer. All right, well, have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.